in 2.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to close out the round of 8 and figure out who's going to be that final player advancing into the round of 4 of the GSL Super Tournament, the last GSL tournament of the year 2020.
2020?
Did I say
2022? Hard to believe it's almost 2023.
I'm like a time traveler, but not that far from the future or the past.
2020.
What's the date? They go, oh, it's December 12th or whatever. I go, the year. What's the year? It's 2022.
Yeah.
My God, I've gone too far.
By the way, I just want to say for the viewers at home, the trophy actually is as shiny in person as it seems on stream. It's insane. It's literally blinding. It actually hurts my eyes to look at it.
I left my trophy sunglasses at home.
All right, well, Dark coming back again for the quarterfinals. His goatee a little bit longer. Will he be able to advance to the semifinals? Will that mustache be curled by the end of the GSL Super Tournament? Does he have his mustache wax ready? Why can't I think of who's that old school artist that had like the really long mustache?
The Pringles can.
The Pringles can.
Old school artist that had the curly mustache.
Why can't I think of this guy? He was around even when the television came out. Not Picasso, it's the other guy.
Man,
whatever.
No.
I forget everything. I'm gonna fool
artist
myself.
That must hold on. No, we can do this. Artist.
Can we? It's a long
He
mustache.
was around when television was out.
Yeah, he was on some of the very first early television programs.
Picasso. Well, you're not thinking of Bob Ross, right?
No, I'm not thinking of Bob Ross.
You know.
No, like the super. It has a D in it.
Has a D
I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna look this up.
Painter with it. It was a painter or was it?
Painter. Well, Salvador Dali with his long mustache.
Starts with a D, but nobody would have guessed D.
Dali, I'm sorry.
Salvador
I knew
Dali.
D in there. I knew the D in there.
Salvador Dali had all the melty paintings.
Yeah, he did.
The clocks melting.
The clocks. He did all sorts of stuff. He did like performance art, I think. He was all over the place.
Mostly melting clocks, but yeah.
He was the real time traveler, man.
Yeah.
He was disillusioned. All right.
So Data C to start this off. Dark versus Cure. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think Dark is probably favored here. Cure seems... Yeah. Cure's like one of the best Terrans. His TVT is really solid and his TVP is absolutely killer. But TVZ, I'm not sure if he's able to stand up to Dark.
I wonder. Yeah, I think this is either going to be very close with Cure Dark or Dark being very one-sided. Let's find out.
Game start. Sir, Dark. Terran, Cure.
I kind of want to see Dark with like a Salvador Dali mustache now, though. I think it would look good on him.
Curl, it's hard to pull off the mustache curl. That seems like it was bigger in the past, right?
Yeah, it's a little antiquated.
But I feel like, well, it was like, it's definitely antiquated, but then it kind of came back. It definitely was like,
Are
probably in the 20s.
people doing this again? Are people doing this again? Is it coming back?
But it feels like if you could pull off like a curled mustache, you can probably pull off literally anything. Like you're so good looking that you can actually just do this thing that sort of doesn't look great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's like when you go to like the clothing store and you see like the attractive like model that's like showing off the shirt or the jacket and you're like, that's how I want to look. And then you go try it on.
You put it on and you're like, oh, my body's all misshapen. I can't do this. Artosis, dude, he had this great joke. He never said it in GSL, but like, women's lingerie that like accentuates their body, and it's like the male version of that is just a white T-shirt. It's just like, wow, you better be pretty in shape to pull that off. Like most people look horrible in just a normal white shirt.
I hadn't thought of that, but that's very true.
Yeah. If somebody could just wear a normal white shirt, a little bit tight fitting, it's like, well, you must be pretty confident.
I would need to go to the gym to pull that off, and that's just not going to happen, man.
You're not going to go to the gym?
It's time that could be spent gaming.
That's true.
Why would I go to the gym tasteless?
That's true. No, what a stupid question for me to ask.
Working out my finger muscles, man.
What a foolish thing. I'm going to run in shame. I'm not even going to finish this cast. By the way, there's a drone. It's going to hide. No, it's not. It's going
to.
Wants
a third, but
oh my God.
I can't believe he got that down.
I swear that did body block it and he pulled away. That's crazy.
It's like a desync error or something.
Yeah.
It's like rubber banding.
Now,
Yeah, that's insane.
He's going to start chipping away at these lings.
Queen is out now.
By the way, more of a ordinary opener here from Cure.
Yeah, they're both playing pretty straight up. Dark is a little bit fast there with that third hatchery, but besides that, about as normal as you expect from a TVZ. And wait, is that a fast? That's a really fast third command center. Okay, it's like a 240 third CC. Look at this. We are wrong about this 2-base all-in, man. I keep wanting to see it again. It just like, never happens.
We've been kind of digging at that. Yeah, it's not working out so far for us, but
well, we saw this in GSL. I think it was season 3, and like every single time that we casted it, it won. It won like 6 games and lost none.
Literally, like
in one season.
The first half of season 3 was like all this, but now it's kind of back to you know, a lot more 3CC plays. But these things also kind of you know, they seesaw a little bit into what's trendy, right? Like also, by the way, we have a lot more bunker rushes that work.
True.
A lot more proxy raxes in general that work, where it seemed like for a while proxy raxes were all the rage, but not to win. No. Just to get them in an uncomfortable spot, and then you play from ahead.
Yeah, and now the game just ends in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
One way or another. Either you're going to tap out as Terran or you're going to kill their hatch and win the game. But yeah, we've seen a lot of shake up there, especially with the early barracks. Even Bunny was doing a lot of 2-Rax Reaper stuff against Hero at DreamHack, which is just... It's kind of been around, but not to the extent that he was able to make it work. I think Bunny played like 2 different games in the grand finals where he got like 5+ probe kills each at the start of the game with 5 Reapers. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
So it is funny how these things kind of ebb and flow as the game is being figured out. If you think about it like big picture, the meta is slowly evolving, but then there's all these little tiny like micro things that are happening as well, like the barracks and
even
the
these micro bluffs in there, like, well, people are kind of doing that, so I'm going to make it look like this. It's so cool.
It's a fast Liberator too here for Cure. So.
Yeah, this is a little bit different. Cure, I mean, again, we had extremely different Terran players coming in today.
That's true.
And it's kind of surprising, you know, with Maru now being out of the picture. Most casts that we would do, it's us kind of following the what Maru's doing this, and here's what the rest of the guys are trying to do, you know, and we'll see what works.
Trying to play like Maru.
Yeah, they're trying to play like Maru, or they're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to see how that goes. But, you know, looking at this Super Tournament now, it's almost kind of exciting Maru's out of the picture. This kind of reminds me of when Flash went to the military and he wasn't in ASL, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Suddenly anyone can win.
Who knows who can win this thing?
All right, so Liberator going to siege up there at the Natural Expansion and disrupt mining just a bit.
A lot of lings coming out here.
Yeah, that's a ton of lings.
And, you know, he went around the spotters. Good wall in here, but these SCVs and Marines are still exposed. The Hellions are going to come down here, and these are enough Hellions that unless the lings, there's just no way.
Yeah, the lings are going to get cleaned up, but they did their job, right? They killed 2 Marines, they got 6 SCVs. That's absolutely worth it, especially with most being able to retreat. So Dark definitely getting the better of these early game exchanges.
And so we've got the 4th base being taken here. I like the Ling play here. It would have been 1,000 times better if the depot had been lowered. He would have been able to run in there.
Yeah, that almost gave me a flashback to the Reaper trying to block the hatchery. It was like the lings were like almost inside the depot when it went up.
This one ling just gets pushed off like by a hex. So it's going to be push time coming up here. Upgrades are about...
Whoa, macro hatches! 2 macro hatches in the main base, Aceless.
Yeah, he's going to power up. So this is kind of like a battle Zerg setup. He wants to try to fight him if he can.
I don't see this very often.
No,
it's Dark like the only Zerg that does this, because it's just... Is it good? I don't even know.
Well, I think what happens is you kind of get thrown off by how much Zerg has, right? Like, and think about it like this: if the 4th base is pushable. Actually, now that more I'm looking at this is really interesting.
So many hatcheries. Like, you got to go just pure ling baneling, and you're leveraging having extra larva instead of extra res, right?
You're gonna have more to reinforce, right? And maybe that's what helps here. Let's find out. I mean, the push is going to come up here. Now, this is not a push intended to kill this, but to more clear and set up. Clear the creep, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself, and set up for this.
Armory about halfway done, so those Hellions can eventually become Hellbats in this engagement. Kieran might be able to get a nice trade with them as he's loading up a medevac back at home. One SCV in that medevac for some reason, as it just chills. Not sure what's going on there. All right, now we go.
Okay, so
So it looks like Kira's going to set up for kind of a Hellbat Marine, trade out the Hellbats over here on the top side, and then do a double drop to deny the 5th on the bottom. The SCV's still here, by the way. Just coming along with the trip. And that's a lot of Ling Baneling. So this is what the macro hatches kind of give you, is a ton of larva. As Dark is sitting on just 72 drones right now. And this like almost feels like an all-in on 4 bases. Like this is so much Ling Bane. Coming in now is Dark, coming into the natural expansion. Those Lings are gonna be clogging up the ramp as the Banelings come into the 3rd, and they kill 10 SCVs, even more gonna go down. But this counterattack here by Kira at the top is big, and there's a double drop in the main base as well. So, man, I'm liking this for Kira right now. Yeah, he does lose those SCVs at home, but this army is huge, and Dark has so many problems to deal with.
You know, the problem right now for Dark is that, like, you look, Dark killed workers, that's great, but what Kira has, it can actually just start to you know, run over everything that Zerg has. It looks like Zerg's gonna barely survive it.
And this might go back to the macro hatches too, because at one point during that harassment, Dark had 60+ Lings in production. Yeah. And it's when those Lings pop that he's able to stabilize here. And at the end of the day, he does have a worker advantage here. 26 SCVs even go down in total, so some fell off screen, and that makes things a lot better here for Dark.
And you know, this is basically overall just better for Dark. Dark, you know, he loses workers, but the infrastructure's there. And look, the infrastructure's there for Cure, of course, too, but you know, there's more hatches.
Right.
You can remake all the drones, you can get right back, you know, with a matter of seconds into production here. You know, and 71 workers to 49, that's a big difference, even with mules. And so it does seem like it's going to be kind of an optionless game for a little bit here for Cure, as Dark should be able to ramp up production and probably be prepared for the next attack, but we'll see.
Yeah, very interesting the way this game is shaping up is Cure's going to try and keep on the pressure here. Double medevac drop over by the right side as Cure is pushing towards the middle with some Banelings, excuse me, Widow Mines. Would be insane if he had Banelings. And I think the objective of this is to kind of keep Dark on his side of the map, control the creep, because you do not want to let Dark get full map control with creep and, what is this, like 5 or 6 hatchery Ling Baneling? I mean, that would just be insane.
So, Terran's going to try to set up for this base down here at the far bottom right. Now, this is kind of a neglected base in every sense.
Oh, that Widow Mine shot was huge!
Very nicely done. It is going to be driven away. Again, I don't really see a lot of options for Terran. That being said, it's not like there's mutas out, so you do have the liberty to kind of roam the map with drops and see what you can and can't hit.
Yeah, he doesn't have too many options, but I feel like the one option he does have, which is this Widow Mine Marine Harass, is a pretty good one. He's getting a lot of damage in. He's safe back at home, and these Widow Mines barely not burrowing in time of the natural. Those drones were really bunched up.
Yeah, it looks like this should be about the end of that Widow Mine drop there. The 4th base is going to be taken down here near the bottom center. Terran, you know, recovering, no doubt, but still unable to really, you know, make a dent here.
They burrow so fast.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, Cure stabilized quite a bit now. 93 army supply to 94. Dark with just a slight worker edge. And this could be problematic here for Dark, as his army is mostly Lings. He has 90 Zerglings, 11 Hydras, and 8 Banelings, and there's a lot of Widow Mines on the field for Cure. If Cure gets good Widow Mine hits, he might be able to take down this base and maybe more. Dark engaging now, and yeah, those are some nice Widow Mine shots right there. All the Banelings falling.
Yeah,
follow-up Widow Mine shots, not the best, but not bad.
No, not bad at all. This base, again, no Queens really protecting this over here. Just the kind of bare minimum amount of Zerglings. As Terran's going to come in here for another scrape. You know, the hatchery nearly at half health here, and, you know, it's just going to go down, I think. I think that, you know, Zerg may be a little bit too confident. Maybe spread a little bit too thin, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, so the Zerg now down to 4 bases.
This is actually starting to get bad for Dark. I mean, Terran's on 4 bases. Zerg, it's kind of a weird way that he lost that. It just didn't seem like he believed that Terran was going to actually commit to that. And so, you know, I think Kira's basically recovered from his pretty dire position earlier. Now we got to see if he can maybe make something happen coming up here. Another attack comes down now.
And Dark coming in again. Widowmines get very good shots on the leading Zerglings there as Cure's going to micro back into them, lift up into Medivacs and pull away. As Dark was lucky to get a couple of Baneling shots there on the bio at the very end of that thing, but the thing is, his army composition, Dark's, I don't know how it deals with this kind of widespread Widowmine Marine attack. It's so Ling heavy because of the extra hatcheries that he can't engage efficiently on these Widowmines unless he has the most phenomenal control ever, and Cure is just complicating the game so much that he's not giving Dark the room to actually focus on that micro. It's just such a tough position. Dark does get a surround on the Marines, but there's so many Medivacs here, they just lift up and go away.
You know, this is a lot of times how we see players who, and I'm not saying you have to go mutas or that you even should go mutas, but this is, in a game where there are no mutas, this is kind of how you manage to recover, is you kind of pick up, drop, hit a location, when it's uncomfortable, get back out, and cut your losses.
Well, I feel the issue is for Dark that he was never able to get his worker count up into the 80s or the 90s, which is where he wants to be. So he's struggling on economy right now. He has to produce units to continue to hold on, but the Terran economy just continues to evolve here. Dark going to try and chase, but he does not want to take this full engagement off of Creep, as a lot of Marauders are now mixing in with the rest of Bio, and this 2-factory Widowmine play plus Marine Marauder is just so effective against Dark's composition. I mean, he still has 93 plus Lings, 34 much in production, so we're going to have like 120, 130 Lings out for Dark and not much else.
All right, Terran's going to try to push in once more here. And, you know, it seems like with the rest of these units spilling up into the fight, nicely done.
It's a lot of splash damage on this bio, but it's able to lift up and go back home, so Cure will be able to heal all these bio units back up.
Biologically repair.
Biologically repair, yeah.
Now, we're slowly teching up to the point where even though it seems like Terran could take their shots at Zerg, Zerg is going to finally have an answer. Lurkers are going to be out, and that's really where the bio can't just force fights. And there should be opportunities for counter pushes here, but, you know, Lurkers, not exactly like Broodlords, but there are some similarities in that you can kind of attack wherever they're not.
Right, and Dark has been struggling to stabilize for a long time here. He's been taking a lot of cost-inefficient trades, but once Lurkers are out, that might make this a little bit easier for him to pick his engagements. Has to be careful not to get caught out of position, though, and actually Dark, he just wants to push Cure. He's going straight into the third base of Cure. Cure's going to lift up over here. Will he go for a base trade on the top side, or is he going to go back home and defend? I don't think he can hold this third base.
Yeah, well, this is a pretty nice attack in here. By the way, Cloak's going to get denied here for Ghost, so this is like actually really bad. As you know, we're kind of getting to that point in time where it may need to be like an epic long TVZ. Zerg kind of denies the ability to do that. Maybe the other units will draw the attacks away. You know, we're like, what, maybe 15 seconds out from that Cloak finishing, but... Okay, he's going to come in even further.
Yeah, these Lurkers are almost definitely going to be able to take down that Ghost Academy. Denied, and that's a lot of Lings. Is right now Cure. He also lost so many supply depots on that third base that he can't even produce units.
That's a very good catch, State. I actually hadn't noticed that, and you know, with that being supply blocked,
and now, again, all the depots.
Dark doesn't know that, but like that's huge because now, like, you know, Dark's already maxed out.
5 depots in production.
By the way, if he goes into the natural, he's going to kill even more depots.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, this is so funny.
Lurkers coming in, even more depots going to fall. As the bio.
Oh, this is
there's no reinforcements.
It's probably over. He's just going to get on production. Yeah, not that you could make anything.
Cure has so much. He has so much production facilities, but he doesn't have the supply room to actually produce units. And so this bank has just been left.
This is an S-class win here from Dark. He's so good. It's actually crazy to me. GG.
Wow.
He really beat that in a way that I didn't see coming. I kind of thought he was going to have to play whack-a-mole with the Lurkers. And,
I thought so too.
And keep hitting these different bases. He's like, no, dude. I'm going to his starting location.
Yeah, Dark just with a killer instinct there, recognizing that he can just move across the map and create a problem that Cure has to solve. Cure felt like he could not go for the base trade there. He had to go back home and try and stabilize. And not only does Ghost Snipe get denied, but Cure gets like 60 plus supply removed in terms of his cap there with all those depots going down.
Yeah.
It felt like he couldn't make units for ages, and he was so slow on also rebuilding those depots. Like by the time the new depots were done, Dark had already pushed into the natural expansion, and by there, Cure like hadn't produced units in 45 seconds maybe?
Yeah, I'd say so.
What a great
Waterfall.
game.
Yeah, great game. And again, Dark, he's so scary, man. And, you know, a really kind of tricky game there. You have Medivac sitting you everywhere. You're losing bases, but he techs up and he goes straight to the jugular. Does not waste his time trying to get these appendages of the Zerg. Just goes in for the kill move and pulls it off. Waterfall for map 2 is the final best of 5 in the round of 8. Continues on with Dark versus Cure.
Game start. Zerg, Dark. Terran, Cure.
This is kind of interesting. Depot on the natural ramp here for Cure.
Yeah, he's going to try to wall it at the entrance here. He may try to do something slightly aggressive, and then the moment it doesn't work, he just ditches it and goes and expands.
I wonder if this is going to be something like 1 or 2 racks Reaper.
Yeah, it could be for
coming
sure.
down.
I think probably 2 racks would be fine.
No gas is taken yet, though, so
Oh.
it's just going to be... Is this going to be a gasless expand?
Well, I mean, if he's going to keep accumulating minerals, oh no, he's going to be a little bit later gas. I was going to say that would have been a very odd build if he had actually just gone like barracks and then command center. I'm like, all right, well, I'm ready to learn.
I
Let's
am
do this.
so interested in this gas timing. He
Yeah.
waited until he had like 150 plus mineral bank to actually make this gas, so I suppose he doesn't need it right away. Huh.
Yeah, it may be mathed out that it's actually better for the SCV to mine a few more minerals and then get it.
Yeah.
It's one of these things, like when you get build orders that are very advanced, it's not about like when you have the money to make it. It's like if you look at it like, you know, a few minutes out, it's like actually if you have a few more minerals mined here because you don't need that much gas for what you're doing.
I wonder if what happened there was Cure, he wants the command center really fast there at the natural expansion, so I wonder if he just waited until he had maybe 16 guys on the mineral field before
Yeah.
he took the gas, and then he goes on a gas, and now he rallies back on the minerals. Very interesting. I would love to go and like do a deep dive into what the Terran opening actually was there, because this is not the kind of macro opening that we usually see from Terran. Usually it's going to be something like 1 or 2 racks. Reaper there at the natural ramp with some gases at home and a later expansion, or, I mean, you wouldn't expect it to be a gasless expand.
By the way, this Overlord's going to go down, so
Yep.
that's a nice little victory there to take Dark's Overlord out that early. And, you know, that's one of those moments where you're really not supposed to ever lose Overlords that early. So we'll see if this has any real impact on his build. And against a very specific build, as State has pointed out here, coming from Cure.
A second barracks here for Cure as well, so.
So this
Factory
could
going
be some kind of fast aggression here. Barracks Factory Barracks with the starport later on here. He might be trying to come in here and take some swings at Dark early on.
I think you're right about that. Let's see how this one shapes up. Reactors going in production back at home. There's some very brave Marines here. There's 3 Marines walking around on the map. I think maybe he's trying to bait out Dark to make a couple of Zerglings, but Dark, too smart for that, just continues to drone up. And it's going to be a Roach Warren here for Dark.
So this is kind of funny. Dark could just come out here and try to bully him. And, you know, it's funny what Roaches do, because Roaches kind of beat everything, you know, early on for Terran.
Yeah, before stem pack, before combat shields are +1.
Yeah, I mean, they're not great against Marauders, but, you know, the funny thing is, like, and again, we've seen this a lot this year, and I think it was especially expressed with Ragnarok. Now, I don't know if Ragnarok's going to be pulling it off as much, or even if other Zergs can pull it off as much, but the idea of just taking a fight to them instead of trying to play greedy, because whenever you fight them, you're also scouting them.
You're scouting them, you're keeping them back at home, and on top of that, you're disrupting whatever their build is and their flow.
Yeah.
And oftentimes in games like this, if you could disrupt the flow of your opponent, that's kind of damage in and of itself, because they're going to be playing less efficiently from that point going on, right? So Cure's going to come in with 3 Hallions in the front, 1 full medevac going into the main base, and 11 Roaches in production, Tasteless.
Now, there are enough Queens out here to start to fend this off, and this also denies the scout, by the way. I thought it was going to be maybe a push from the Terran, but it looks like it's going to be one of these double-pronged harasses.
Cure might not know yet that there are roaches on the field. All right, he sees them now. And luckily for Cure back at home, there is a Liberator on the way. One of the best units you could have in this situation.
It's so funny. He comes in there to hit that base. It's like, oh, there's nothing here. I got to go back home. Dark basically doesn't use that base. He uses that hatchery as a production facility. And drones are going to be attacked up here as these roaches come in. But the wall in, especially the Liberator, but even the tank is going to shut that down. But, you know, not a lot of losses occurred here on either side.
I like this more for Cure, though, because oftentimes when we see this Roach attack, it's going to get something done. And
sure,
Dark's actually going to commit a little bit more now, going to go for 3 Ravagers.
Oh, Liberators, of course.
And try and take down the Liberator, potentially the Siege Tank here.
Yeah.
But I don't think he has an Overlord with this army, so he actually has to move up the ramp into range to be able to get any damage in. And Cure recognized that the fact that Dark has to move up the ramp gives Cure a little bit more time to react, so it's a lot easier for him to control the Liberator against this. And so Dark's just going to go back home and defeat. This kind of goes back to what you said earlier, Tasteless. Dark losing that very first Overlord.
Yeah.
This might be a ramification of it where he can't get that vision on the top of the ramp.
So now Terran's free to push out once more. Third command center is being made, so this isn't any kind of 2-base pressure. It's going to be instead, you know, Terran coming out, seeing what can be done.
Dark has a sizable army back at home to defend this. Stimpack is done, so these Marines are going to have a lot of DPS.
Whoa!
Man, really.
Overstayed his welcome there, and you know, the medevac is shot down.
Ooh.
Seems like Cure is almost playing a little bit too quick here.
Yeah,
like
this is a bit sloppy.
I mean, that's... He dropped the medevac, the Marines are going to get back. Okay, so whatever, but then the Liberator too. You know, he has like a moment, and then he, you know, it's not even so much that Dark's beating him as that Cure's not controlling well. And, you know, these units do attack on their own.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy there with the harassment, but he is able to get 3 drones for his trouble and a queen. So let's see if this double drop in the main base is going to be able to get anything done. Behind this, Cure continuing to power up, adding 3 more barracks. A lot of siege tanks, 3 in total up already, and he's going to make Dark vacate this base.
And this is going to be shoot away, no problem. But Cure's got his 3rd base up here. We have more roaches being made, by the way, as the 1-1 upgrades are coming here. So it looks like Dark is going to set up for one of these kind of beefcake armies where he's got lots of roaches, lots of Ravagers. And he wants to try to supplant Terran's 3rd base.
Yeah, and Infestation Pit and Hydralisk Den also coming in here for Dark.
Sure.
So he's really filling out his tech tree, and the way that Cure is getting set up here with such a high siege tank count makes me think that this is going to be a 3-base push. And if Dark isn't safe and he goes up to Hive Tech too quick here, this could be troublesome.
Okay, another scoop up there as Cure's going to try to back out.
Dark only on 64 drones, by the way. Very low economy game from him. One of the reasons why his army is as large as it is. Dark continues to keep delaying, adding in new drones.
Now, this game could look a little bit similar to the last one, where it just seems like Dark's kind of sitting there, you know,
yeah.
and you know, Cure's taking his swipes wherever he can. And then eventually we're going to have that push out here as that Hydralisk tech starts to really fill in, especially with lurkers. And, you know, this isn't easy for the Zerg to defend, right? But, you know, all this extra gas that didn't go into mutas and is going into kind of this tanky army of, like, roaches.
2 infestors in production. Oh, wait, did he just cancel them? Or
I
did
think it was
finish?
a mistake.
I was confused by that for a moment.
I mean, I don't think, no, there's no infestors in the game. No, that was just like he fat-fingered the infestors.
Wanted Hydras instead. Well, Cure's doing his best to try and control the creep, and to his credit, looking in the middle of the map, he's doing a pretty good job of it. Besides that, not able to find too much damage because Dark has invested so much in his army. He's been at a worker deficit for a couple of minutes now, it feels like. 170 army supply. For Dark is medevacs coming into the main base. There are Hydras on the field already, so Dark is building a really powerful composition that it's going to be kind of tough for him to remax on, and 7 lurkers underway, so this is really fast lurker tech here from Dark. All right, and Cure does spot the lurkers morphing as well. Very interesting opening here. Low eco, high tech, big on army. I wonder what Dark's going to do with it.
Well, I think he's going to start to try to plow through the Terran. I mean, he's basically kind of slow playing it, and camping and letting the Terran, he's like, okay, try to come at me. Try to find an opening. And it's not that hard to do on this map for the Zerg to kind of just play defense. If you're not out on the map hitting the Terran, and Terran is now taking a pretty late 4th base. Like, Terran's almost maxed out.
Yeah, I wonder if Cure had planned for going for an attack earlier, or maybe he was scared of the Roach Ravagers. I'm not sure what the thought process is, but
well, I think
in any case.
I think what's going to happen is that he's going to have the Vipers out. He's going to have Blinding Cloud. He's also going to have the Corrosive Bile to hit any kind of stationary defense. And then he's going to have the Lurkers. So he's going to kind of like crowbar open the position and not worry about splash damage. Get in there, put the Lurkers down, and boom, you've lost one of your few mining bases as Terran. And I'm sure he'll be expanding behind. In fact, he already is. Before I can finish the sentence, so look at the mini-map. Both the left and the right bases are being taken here. But if I had to guess what's going to happen, I think it's going to be that.
I think you're exactly right. Those 2 Vipers now very high on energy. And now the Dark is maxed. We'll see if he's going to attack or if he's going to wait for a 5th base. Here, just continuing to poke and prod in the middle. The one thing that Kira has done a great job of this game is controlling the creep spread beyond everything else. Oh, those Lurkers. Huge hits there. Gets a nice handful of Marines.
Now, in a little bit here, by the way, we're having ghosts come out into the game, so it should be the moment where Zerg wants...
These Lurkers are huge! That's so much damage. They will eventually get cleaned up, but
dude,
that was a very cost-efficient trade.
About 1/4 of the supply just disappears there to a handful of Lurkers, which can easily be remade. So the ghosts are coming. Now, when we get enough ghosts, and we're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. Zerg needs to get in there before that, and frankly, I don't see any movement. So maybe I had a bad read on this. I thought Zerg was going to get active pretty soon here. I don't know if we're waiting for upgrades or things to morph.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe adaptive talents is
I'm
what
not
we
sure
want.
either. Perhaps the plan is here for Dark to contain the Terran on 4 bases, as we've seen a lot of Zergs do, and maybe Cure going for this 5th base here, once it gets spotted by Dark, will be the cue for Dark to begin attacking, because that's when Terran is going to be spread the most thin.
Right.
And it's the 2 gases number 9 and 10, that are most critical for the Terran really achieving their late game potential, because you see Terran right now adding in Liberators, 2 factory siege tank, he's making a lot of ghosts. He really doesn't have a lot of gas right now, despite all of these geysers being up on 4 bases. 4 infestors now, this time not fat-fingered, I think. And 4 corruptors as well. Dark is making a very expensive army. This is not kind of the headbutt steamroller Zerg that we often see.
Right.
Where you just throw army after army after army with 95+ drones. This is Dark making one extremely powerful composition, and so for him, it's going to be very important that he takes favorable trades here. It's a nice little maneuver.
Yeah, definitely want to get rid of those tanks. That makes, you know, moving around on the map a little bit more annoying. And you know what? I was dead wrong. I thought there was going to be some kind of a push, and it seems like Dark kind of wants to, almost in a role reversal here, turtle this out and try to take the Terran on. But as I say that, I mean, he hasn't contested the 5th base here.
Yeah,
I'm not... It's very different than what, you know, I thought we were going to get coming into this. By the way, Greater Spire, Broodlord's most likely inbound here.
Oh, this could be huge. Dark wants to fungal that bio so bad. Kind of a interesting little engagement. A lot of energy being spent there by Dark. Those Vipers will go replenish their reserves. And yeah, Dark is just going to allow Kira to get up on 5 bases without too much contention, and this is kind of a head scratcher for me because oftentimes Zerg is going to be sitting on 90+ drones and building a huge bank in situations like this. And although the usual MO for Zerg is to stop that 5th base from getting up, in any case, you would expect them to have a higher economy. In this situation, Dark is playing a lower eco game and he's not attacking, so he's not trading out these units. And
yeah, I guess, you know, Cure, after staying back, goes, I guess I've got everything. I thought I was going to be kind of deflecting your attacks.
Whatever the big engagement is going to be, it's going to be critical here for Dark.
No, I think we're about to get there now because, you know, at this point in time, Terran's going to start to push into these bases that are frankly very easy to attack into. I don't see any Lurkers over here. I see Broodlords that are going to morph, but they're going to be, yeah, well, we're going to morph. They're going to get picked off here.
Nice network in production here for Dark.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so what we talked about, you know, with this map and everything else stated, it's kind of being illustrated here. I mean, this is a small map.
It is.
I thought Zerg was going to try to fight and control the Terran, and then he didn't. And I don't know what to say other than now this looks like a Terran in the campaign level where you're slowly pushing across the Zerg. The Zerg's not doing anything. He's getting to fill in all these spots. The map is almost cut in half, which is bad for the Zerg, by the way.
It's very bad for the Zerg, especially if Terran is able to secure this base in the middle with a high-res Vespene Geyser. Kira is going to be killing some of these siege tanks to free up supply. That is for Thors.
Yep.
Doesn't need that splash damage on the siege tanks just yet. And a split map scenario is what feels like, to me, the worst case scenario here for Dark, because it's going to be so hard for him to push past 5 bases. You see him double expanding right now, but these bases are in such close proximity to the Terran expansions that I would be surprised if either of them are able to get up or get a reasonable amount of resources harvested from them. But let's see what Dark's able to do with this. Good Lord sieging down the 6th base here for Cure. We'll be able to take down 1 siege tank. Bile's also taking down a Liberator is now. Tactical nukes are on the field here for Cure. He's going to be attacking the 5th base with that.
So it's become really like a game of territory here. This is going to become, I think, the point of tension here, as these bases are just, you know, in eye shot of each other.
They're so close in proximity, and either player securing their base and killing the opponent's base would be a huge win. So next couple of minutes over here, absolutely critical for both players.
I don't know that there's enough Broodlords to actually do anything. Terran's going to be able to get nukes. By the way, good idea here from Cure. You want to land all your mules here and just soak up the minerals.
While you can.
Yeah, because if you lose it, it's like, all right, whatever, we got what we needed. You don't want to give that over to the Zerg.
This is a tough engagement here for Dark as well, because although he has 120 army supply, so much of it is in spellcasters. He has something like 7 or 9 infestors, and there's some nice fungal growths coming down. Getting a lot of value out of those Broodlords as another tactical nuke is going off somewhere on the map. I think that ghost actually died. Some static defense being made over here on the right side for Dark.
This is such an odd game, and it is going to start to really draw out. By the way, only 1 location on the map has not been mined from.
It's true.
So, I mean, we're at the point where, like, we're going to run out of bases. Now, one thing to note, normally, you've heard me say this, you know, many, many times before, it's, well, that's usually better for the Terran, right? But Zerg never really overextended. Zerg turtled as much as the Terran turtled, right? Zerg's only taking fights they can win.
Yeah, Zerg is being a lot more cost efficient than we normally see, and Hold That Thought actually takes this as a huge engagement coming in. All the infestors get EMP'd and sniped right at the beginning, so these fungals are pretty much all that Dark has.
But meanwhile, there's a big attack on the other side of the map, hitting this entire base. Big kills there, although there are not that many minerals left.
24 SCVs do go down. A lot of those infestors out of energy, but not dead, as Dark will be losing this base. So both players trading out 1 base for each other. But Cure right now with a bigger resource bank makes me think this is a scary position here for Dark, because Cure's Remax, he's adding in another siege tank, he's adding in more ghosts, he's getting his vehicle weapons. As the game goes on, Cure's army is going to be harder and harder to deal with for Dark, and I don't think that was a cost-efficient enough trade there for the Zerg player.
Yeah, that was, this is getting very, very tricky to cast, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a very technical game.
Who mines out first? I think actually Terran might, weirdly enough.
Terran might mine out first, but Zerg has had the bigger economy for longer, I think.
Yeah.
They just were able to mine from these bases at the...
Well, here's where Zerg can kind of fracture off little bits of units here and there. And, you know, he actually does commit with the Banes onto the planetary. But, you know, in kind of a yin and yang effect, the Terran then goes up and pokes out that base. And so we basically have these 4 bases that dot the two on the far left, or 2 on the far right near the middle of the map that don't really seem to be easy to mine from. Although we do have this kind of weird tension point here on the right side. But
Cure just continues to drop down mules here on this base. And this is, in my opinion, the critical difference between these 2 players right now is that Cure is mining from a high Vespene gas geyser a lot of the time. Right now, it's not being made. But he's also getting all of the minerals out of that extra base. Dark has failed to mine from those perimeter bases for a long time, but is able to get this Nidus Canal up in the main base. Although I think he's scared about taking too many units out of it because his bank is so low. He knows that he needs to have good engagements, and if he were to, you know, pop out some infestors or a lot of lings in the main base and they get cleaned up, that would be very problematic for Dark. And look at the banks. I mean, this is frankly a role reversal. But on top of that, Cure right now with 45 SCVs, with all of his mules, he actually is able to have a superior mineral economy to Dark because he has so many macro orbitals on the map. And tasteless, this nuke. Woof. Ghost eventually does get cleaned up. For a second, I thought I might have been watching a solar game.
Oh no. I feel like Cure can just kind of, as time passes, force Dark into a position where he just kind of withers away. By the way,
right.
No minerals at this base, but you know, you're kind of pushing back position. And what's happening, I think, now is that the Zerg is cornered because. I mean, and that's not to say that Zerg can't fight back and reclaim the center right position, but Terran is mining pretty freely from one of the two center bases on the far right. Over onto the far left, I think we're just going to see the Terran seesaw back over there. Terran has a bigger bank, I guess even in gas, but minerals are extremely important right now. They're sort of the building blocks for anything you're going to make, right?
Yeah, and it just feels like Cure is in complete control of the map. Dark does have this base mining to his credit, but it's such a difficult position to play from. And even this trade right here, cleaning up this attack at the top right, that's costing a lot of Banelings for Dark. It's not very cost efficient spending those on Marauders, but he just doesn't have a lot of options right now. And I'm surprised that Cure hasn't taken that high yield Vespene Geyser. Okay, there it is. Once again, getting rebuilt. And Cure, once he takes one of these perimeter bases again, notice that he stopped dropping mules at that forward base. I think he's banking all of the energy so that once the left or the right side, which are a little bit less safe, get taken, he drops 12, maybe more mules on them and just vacuums up all of the resources as the orbital starts to morph over on that side. Actually planetary, so Cure really wants to hold down that position. And him double expanding like this allows him to kind of secure at least one of these bases and land all of those mules. And it feels like Dark is, just like you said, completely cornered. He was able to take that one base on the left side, but the army for Cure is so technical, it is so advanced. This is effectively Ghost Mech, which is about as strong as any army composition could possibly be.
This is like this ultimate endgame army. Now, let's point this out as well. Like, I mean, I think Dark's probably dead, but it's possible that like Cure overextends a little bit, gets a little bit too headstrong, and then it comes down to like, you know, both these locations of minerals, they drain out, and maybe there's some kind of scrappy play from there. Like right now we're seeing a huge amount of the mech, basically the entire mech army is going to be picked off. As we all know, you can't really push with an army like this into Broodlords.
Yeah, that was a pretty good engagement there for Dark.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I almost wish we could tell the Observer to kind of go zoom out and figure out. By the way, that's not the Greater Spire, so you can still make Broodlords here.
Dark is building an extra Spire just in case. Just in
the
case he also
Spire.
loses the Greater
It's the
Spire.
stunt double for the other Spire. Now,
so Cure will eventually remax here. I wonder what his production is back at home, because this is a very slow remax for Cure. And one thing that we haven't really touched on is that if these players have another big engagement, Dark has all these hatcheries, all of this larva. He'll be able to very quickly remax, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas Cure just has the production in the main base. He hasn't really added a lot of additional factories or barracks out on the map.
Now, we've got what I would call an inverse TVZ, where the Zerg's the turtler and the Terran's the one that's trying to come out and end him. Zerg does still have enough like resource nodes that are available that you can play this out. I also want to point out, I think the one way that Zerg could win this long term is to win a fight maybe like this one and then pounce on production.
Yeah.
Terran production is in a lot of ways just inferior compared to what Zergs can do, right?
Now, if he is able to win an engagement and also get a Nidus Canal up in the main base of Cure, which is a lot of ifs, but if he's able to make that happen, it could be great for Dark. With the engagement coming in, these Ghosts going to try and get their snipes, but the Lord's able to micro back and...
Okay, so that's a big win.
It is a big win.
And it, you know, at what cost? Basically none. But this push continues on here. Now, where are the rest of the Broodlords? Because this hatchery is going to go down.
All 12 Broodlords still standing.
Couple of things to note, guys. Look at the gas for Terran. Not
That's
great.
Mostly out.
Now, that means he can make, like, you know, if you don't have gas, what can you make? Hellions, Marines, you know, I guess command centers. But you know what I'm saying.
Right, none of that really beats,
None of that
investors or Broodlords or anything to that effect.
So we may just see a masterclass endgame here from Dark in kind of a moment where, the ultimate plans from Dark kind of, at least for you and me, stay kind of emerge 25 minutes into the game.
It's possible.
If it works.
For a moment there, we saw on the bottom right the total amount of resources lost for each player, and I'm pretty sure that in any ZVT late game I've ever seen, this is the most cost-efficient Zerg.
Yeah,
of like
I mean,
all time. It's almost 1-for-1 in terms of resources being spent.
And here we go, more gas units just disappear. At basically the cost of nothing. I mean, he's taking out tanks.
13 more Broodlords? Are you insane?
And let's keep in mind, like, what fights Broodlords, right? Like, Vikings are pretty good.
There's
but
no
you can't
air on
get,
them. Yeah, there's no air for Cure.
Precisely. There's not the kind of tools. You know, Thors and some stuff, they can fight like a couple Broodlords, right? You can get a sniper there. But there's a moment where you sort of have this flooding mechanism that's just going to chew its way through everything. And so, now I don't want to call it yet, and look, Dark could very well still lose this. I feel like this is a game that Zerg should have lost a while ago, but here we are, guys.
Dark is somehow navigating the ZVT late game in a way that...
I've just never seen anything quite like this.
Exactly.
Now, keep in mind, Terran has mostly been able to soak the resources on the right side of the map, but he's also just sort of bled off these big amounts of units. And here we go, what is now, by the way, a maxed out Terran, you can't change your supply, you can't build, you can't, produce your way out of this. We sort of have this actually borderline hilarious amount of Broodlords.
This is a lot of Broodlords.
Now, could he go, could he beeline south and go into production? I don't know. I'm just saying, could happen.
25 Broodlords.
Now, Terran's going to try to push up into the upper right. Keep in mind that
I'm scared of this move here for Cure. If Dark pounces on this, if he takes a good engagement, that's GG, I think. There's no gas for Cure in the bank.
I feel
1400.
like Cure may be a bit panicked here because I think we know that, this Terran army can't beat this, right?
I don't think it can.
Although Dark seems to be extra cautious. Oh, I see Nidus.
Neural Parasite coming in on these two Thors.
And he's basically... Okay, nice snipes there.
Oh, it's a lot of Broodlord damage. Two Broodlords go down, a lot more on low HP.
He stopped mining down there. Notice that Terran is getting about 600 to 700 minerals income, roughly. Zerg's actually ahead. So this is...
It all comes down to this next engagement, Tasteless.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But, and again, by the way, it's hard for Terran to produce the right next few moves. I do think, and again, we don't have like meters to detect this, but if you just look at the way this game's gone, there's actually less resources on the right than there are on the left. The left goes to the Zerg. So
exactly.
Again, I've never quite casted an inverse TVZ. That's what I'm calling it right now. But it's like the camping play. It was in fact the Terran that overextended.
Instead of a TVZ, it's a ZVT.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. I like that.
But yeah.
So he's going to drop in the main.
Oh, I like this play a lot, actually. He's going to get the Hive.
Yeah, but so what? You can remake the Hive. Normally, when you get the Hive, you're getting the Greater Spire. You're going to get like the Lurker Den or the Infestation Pit. This doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, the one thing that Dark really can't make from this position is, I suppose, Vipers, right? By losing the Hive. But Dark has almost no resources. A few minutes ago, we were looking at this, and the banks were quite similar. Dark was mining a little bit more on the left side, and Cure was running out of the gas. But since then, the game has gone really passive ever since Dark morphed those 25 Broods. And Dark really isn't mining a lot. And although Cure has 22 workers, those workers are mostly on gas. And he has a lot of mules that he keeps dropping on these exterior bases. So his mineral bank is all the way up to 3.6K. And what was a scary position for Cure now, I feel like is kind of scary for Dark, because not only does he have a very small bank, he only has 12 larvae total. He only has 3 hatcheries, I think. This is an odd-looking army. Baneling Broodlord.
I feel like my brain is getting hot. like I'm like overclocked right now looking at this. This is such an
Look at
interesting
the army values.
So Terran is now forced to try to squeeze into this far upper left location. Terran has to fight what is basically, you know, the hardest army you could ever fight. Mass Banes with Broodlords.
This is a max Zerg army that has 3K more resources invested in it than Terran.
This is like a level of StarCraft we just haven't seen, I feel like, in ages, where he just sort of, Dark is so ahead of the meta right now that he looks at this and he goes, no. You can make Terran overextend here. You can actually give Terran more of the map. You can turn the Terran into the Zerg.
It's all going to come down to this engagement. Broodlord struggling to find another connection here.
Well, the thing is, anything they touch, it's going to be, you know, a micro % closer to winning this game, because Broodlings are infinite. And repair is not.
3 more Thors in production.
Now, in this moment where we're seeing supplies get traded out, I want to point out that Terran is, by the way, Terran ahead in minerals and gas bank, by the way. He's going to have an opportunity to try to reconfigure this army into one that can maybe take this fight. But again, there are more minerals and gas to soak on the upper left than there are on the bottom right. A small link counterattack's going to cross. I don't know if we're going to catch it on.
It's actually a great play. It's going to stop the gas mining here for Cure. And really with Dark Spank, it's kind of the only thing he can afford to make right now. 22 Broodlords, 55 Banes.
So there's one base that it really has resources. This one down here, this will be disappeared if he lands mules there. Both sides have basically sacked workers. I was wondering if we're going to have an infrastructure attack here. I guess we're not yet. And so Terran may, for the first time in what feels like forever, be on their back foot.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting position because Dark really has no incentive to push across the map from this spot. He has 2 mining bases. His bank is almost non-existent, so if he loses a fight, he cannot remax. This is all he's got for a long time.
So I think they're both almost down to 1 base. See the base in the upper left shot, that's pretty resource. This is what I was talking about. So if you come in here, there's not a lot of workers for Terran, by the way. There's 21 SCVs. This base is going to evaporate pretty fast. Now Terran can try to do some kind of base trade-ish stuff, but again, it's Thor's, you know, trudging across the map.
Yeah, and Dark's going to move back over here to this position. Those ghosts very far forward.
Now, he may have forced him to commit. This may have been part of Dark's plan all along.
Broodlords come in, they fire 1 volley and then retreat back. 1 Thor goes down during all that. 21 Broodlords now.
He's going for it.
All right.
Come in, let's do this!
All the Banelings coming into the front line.
They're actually getting stuck because he's just mind-controlled every single Thor. He's got to manually kill them here.
Dark just waiting to take the engagement. He does an A-move with the Banelings because he wants to get the maximum hits, and he completely wipes Cure's army. 18 Broodlords still standing.
Ghosts on the move, though, en masse.
Cure is going to spend all of his gas on 3 more Thors, 2 more Ghosts, 2 more Liberators. Besides that, he has only minerals right now.
And Zerg's just gone for Zerglings, which could be Banelings, of course, but not a lot of gas in this picture.
And after that engagement, you know, I was kind of expecting this big fight and one player just emerges victorious and walks away with the game, but that was quite close.
Yeah, I don't know if he should have sent all the Banes there. I don't want to nitpick too much, but here we are, and I think a game we may never end up casting a game like this again.
The Banelings are going to, the Zerglings, excuse me, are going to try and come in and maybe catch some of these units, but...
Yeah, you know, and by the way, we're at the point in time in a game like this, even the Zerglings are, you know, precious, and you want to get as much value out of them as you can.
Right, and one question that I have now is...
This may be one of the most interesting games of the entire year. I think it already is.
I'm trying to think about this, the way these 2 armies engage, and there's so many less Thors in this army here for Cure, but there's more Liberators and more Ghosts. Does this beat almost pure Broodlord? Because that's really what Dark has. He has Broodlords, he has what's going to be soon 7 Infestors, and I think 7 Queens. 9
I'm not
Queens.
sure. I mean, there are Infestors. Infestor Ghost thing is kind of
it's tricky.
Whoever catches who first.
But is there an answer to the Liberators here? For Dark. If there isn't, then
well, that's a good point.
Is Cure able to zone?
Well, can he just like make a few Corruptors here? He doesn't have that much left.
Well, the Corruptors would get sniped. It's such a tricky problem. Cure coming in again, doesn't want to lose any of these ghosts. Every unit is precious in this situation.
Keep in mind, you know, the splash damage from the tanks isn't helpful for the Terran right now with Broodlords. I don't know. I'm not saying that he should have made tanks. I really don't know where to take this game, but I'm just saying, like, you know, siege tanks are not always your friend in moments like this.
I think for a moment there, Dark was attacking his own Broodlings with his Broodlords to get more Broodlings.
I think you're right.
Into the fight.
I think he was trying to chain it.
Just insane.
Now, the most important location where the Zerg's mining from, it remains untouched.
Only 4 Thors out here for Cure.
Now again, these siege tanks, do you want to be in siege mode? I'm not so sure. The ghosts are going to come forward. The fungals come down.
Big fungals coming in.
These broodlings are going to come in here. The siege tank shots are going to connect onto some of the ghosts. There are still 8 ghosts in this game, now 7-6.
Only 9 Broodlords left, though. I mean, these are about as even trades as you can get. 4 ghosts, 6 liberators, and 3 Thors standing here for Cures. The supply's almost dead even. Dark's going to do a counterattack with a handful of Banelings and Lings in one of the most scrappy late-game ZVTs I have ever seen. And Baneling landmine right here. Baneling landmine, Cure does avoid it.
Yeah, he does come in there and just take out a few SCVs, draw them away.
Yeah, Cure is going to retreat now.
Okay, so Terran's minerals are starting to disappear. By the way, you know, I thought this was going to eventually be mined out. It has not been.
Yeah, he's been mining this very slowly. I guess he hasn't been dropping too many mules on these bases. At least one of those mineral patches had something like 1,000, 1,500 minerals left.
I think there's way less orbitals than we realize.
Yeah, perhaps that's it.
I don't feel like I've seen mules
or perhaps
for a while.
Perhaps Cure has been just prioritizing having scans in these engagements because the fights really are everything right now. And feels like every single one of these fights has been almost dead even, and as it is right now, Dark on only 1 mining base. I'm not sure exactly how many minerals are left. This base maybe has about 2,000 minerals left, which is a sizable sum at this stage in the game. And I'm wondering...
Oh, dude.
Yeah, these Baneling landmines...
This is actually big brain play.
Look at the income here for Dark as well. I think if he waits, he might be able to invest in 7 or 8 more Banelings for another set of landmines.
It's just a 1 base right now, right? But Terran, you know, it looks like that other base is going to mine out, but eventually he can throw SCVs. Oh, he already has thrown SCVs to the bottom right base. So I do think that Zerg mines out last. We are having the Observer kind of look around for any other patches, and we are seeing, you know, stray SCVs kind of come back and try to harvest out whatever you can get. This is going to be a game where you mine out the map, by the way.
At this point, I don't know if Cure has a way.
Oh, there's an infestor just right here.
Oh my god. Look at this infestor.
Now, what's his plan? Surprise?
Well, he can't really...
Hold on. We're going.
There could be a time that...
Where are the Banes? Where are the Banes?
I think he retreated them back to the main army. Oh, there's another infestor here. This is so crazy. Yeah. If the ghosts clump out, he might be able to neuroparasite a ghost and EMP the remaining ones, but there's only really 4 ghosts here. All right, he takes the ghost. Is he gonna get the... No, gets taken out, and that's very expensive here for Dark.
Yeah, that's an infestor gone forever. He scans now, sees out other infestor. Right.
Trying to scurry away. Does get 1 fungal growth. And
take what you can get. Just do that damage. Keep running. Keep making him scan.
Yeah, Cure does have to spend minerals to repair those units. More queens in production. I like this from Dark. I feel like the most cost-effective units you can make here as Dark are more queens and more infestors because those are effectively just going to use energy, right? You're not going to trade them out really in the fights. You might lose a couple Broodlords in the engagements, but besides that, you're ideally just losing Broodlings. And I don't think that Dark has a greater Spire anymore either, right? Not that he can really make too many more Broodlords given the economy.
I think he does have a greater Spire. Isn't it at the top left? Am I wrong?
I'm not sure where it is.
So the incomes have slowed down to a crawl.
It's a lot of liberation zones. These fungals are a lot of damage on the mech units. SCVs being pulled to repair.
Again, siege tanks not always, you know, what you want in moments like this.
No, and these fungals are being very effective. It's kind of odd to say this, but the fungals are really Dark's most effective anti-air right now.
You know, it's funny because fungal, you know, it doesn't last that long and doesn't do that much damage. But the thing is like, This is a game where like every little interaction kind of adds up. And so one of these is going to die. I mean, there you go.
And Dark also knows that he can tank one shot from the siege tanks with these infestors before retreating back. And these Liberators now very low on HP. And look at the mineral fields on the mini-map. Kira is very quickly running out. Soon he won't be able to repair his army anymore.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
And Zerg has Transfuse and the natural regeneration. So I think in the ultimate late game scenario, unless Kira can somehow find an answer or get some snipes off.
He's going to get the pool. Again, everything has to be remade. He could even get the Baneling's Nest as Zerg is sort of full-on pulled back to the only real location of value. Again, spawning pools can be remade here. There's another Infestor just right here. He might try to get the Ghost and EMP. The Broodlords are going to inch forward here and try to catch the sword. There it is.
Exactly, double EMP.
Oh,
and then he snipes a Ghost on the left side.
Yeah, pushes the Ghost into the range of the Broodlings.
Ghost count down to 4 now.
Now the army supplies here are pretty even. It's 124 to 138.
Zerg
still mines minerals.
Yeah, both players mining a small sum of minerals.
By the way, state Terran gas at 0.
That's a great point.
Zilch. So, as far as I can tell, that's it.
This Liberator.
You need some gas to repair?
No, it's all. I think it's
minerals?
all minerals.
Okay, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's all minerals.
Yeah.
We might be showing some ignorance
I might be wrong.
here.
Sorry, guys. Normally it's not something you think about.
No, I also do not
like
think
this.
about
Yeah,
this.
I'm
I straight up
sure.
do not know. But I feel like Dark, he might have done it.
I think he's pulled it off.
But also, how does he attack into the Terran?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because you have to kill his buildings. So these Lings are going to come up. Now this may be
that's a very good point. If this could potentially reach
it,
a point where
it would have to be like a gentleman's draw, where they'd be like, yeah, we're not going to attack each other. The problem is that, well, I guess actually even taking out Terran's infrastructure doesn't matter anyways. So they can't really make anything.
Consider this though, Tasteless.
Yeah.
Dark doesn't have an anti-air unit that can kill a floating building in a corner. And he would need to, I don't think he has a Spire. I might be wrong about this, but I don't think he has a Spire. He would need to, I think, build a lair and then build a Spire and then build a Corruptor to kill a floating CC in a corner. So there is a potential for a late game draw from Terra no matter what, if Kira realizes it. Which is insane.
Yeah, which is totally bananas.
So the more that I'm thinking about this, the more that I'm thinking Dark can only really play for a draw here unless he's able to mine enough resources for this. But look, he's adding more structures. I don't even think he's going to have enough gas to build a Spire and a Corruptor. He has one extractor left, and it's got to be very low.
You may be correct. Units lost. Look at this.
But does Kira realize it, though?
VOD and just take all that in. SCVs are now just another unit to fight.
This is such an insane situation that even if Dark wins the engagement, Kira might not realize this extremely edge case.
I guess you could also push creep tumors forward.
Yeah.
And kind of use, like, keep a mobile Zerg base going here.
Wait, are these not depleted geysers? He might get a little bit more gas.
Oh, I had to even occur to me.
Is he going to have the minerals to build a refinery? What an insane game.
He was making spine crawlers for the last few minerals he had. Overlord's being picked off. Although I think their function is pretty much over right now. Well, that's a tough Overlord. Look at how many hits that takes.
Wasn't there one patch early? Oh my, he's going to drop. He's like, oh, there's some minerals here. I'll just vacuum those up. 160 on the patch. Why not? You take it. You take it. The mules don't really matter. Just...
Yeah, no, you might as well. Like, whatever you could take.
Such a funny game.
We really are at this moment where it's like every single mineral patch. Oh, you know what? You know what? Actually, that's a lot. That's 900.
Is that 900?
I think 900 plus minerals over
900
there.
minerals there. There's maybe 300 between those two mineral patches and the Zerg base.
Whenever you see like a mineral patch that's like, oh, like it's so little, you kind of were like, well, that's worthless. And now I'm like, ooh, look at that. We're like in post-apocalyptic StarCraft where I'm like, there's a can of beans in there, State.
So Kira's army supply has ballooned quite a bit, and that's because he spent all of his minerals, all those minerals that we saw in the corner, on Hellbats, which are like basically like the Terran version of the Roach. So You know, like the supply ballooned up a lot, but this army hasn't actually gotten too much stronger. All right.
Okay, so
That's
he's
so much static. I actually didn't realize that Dark was able to build this little armada
This is
of spines and
his
spores.
airship army. This is the airship.
Transfuses are key here. Dark cannot afford to lose any of these 8 Broodlords. Every loss is massive.
And I guess with the minerals that are over here, I do think you might be right about he can't make a spire.
I don't think he can. I don't even think he has a lair. I think he would need to build a lair and then the spire and then the corruptor, which is too much. And yeah, Cure floating these buildings. I do think that Dark's best case scenario here is a draw. And I think that might be where we're heading, because I'm looking at Cure's army. I don't see any way that he can fight into the Zerg where the Zerg like can't just disengage and transfuse everything, right?
And
how does Cure kill him? I see
100%,
no world.
100% you can float your buildings all to the bottom right.
Yeah.
If you're Terran.
I see no world where Cure's army...
And we're not missing something, right? There's no, like, unit that can also just...
20 drones, changelings, lings, overlord, overseers, 8 broodlords, 3 banes, 17 infestors, and 19 queens. The queens are the only unit with a range attack.
I think we're going to have to redo game 2.
After 40... This game is already longer than our first series of the day.
By a lot, actually.
And we might have a regame. It might not count, Tasteless.
I think you're right. It seems like he miscalculated what he had left over here.
Just insane. It is a little concerning for me that Cure hasn't taken any of these floating buildings and just put one in the corner. I mean, time isn't going to be an issue, but that makes me wonder if he really fully realizes this scenario.
Right. So every spine that goes down, it's one less building for the Zerg. It's also possible Cure can win this, by the way.
Some nice fungals from Dark. It's a lot of AoE. He actually is going to be killing some units with these.
Okay, so this actually could be a big mistake here. But again, I mean, you know, this could be the reality that this whole army just disappears, and then they both kind of sit there until a ref comes over.
Yeah, there's also a situation, looking at this, is another Ghost gets EMP'd.
There's not like a Corruptor hiding in the far top left.
No, there's no, look at the units tab, there's nothing.
Oh, right, of course.
There's nothing.
I'm like racking my brain here trying to imagine every possible outcome.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to reconcile like the reality of what we're seeing and this being a draw.
But here's the thing, we see it, Cure doesn't.
Exactly.
So Cure could be in a position where he thinks, no, of course he has a Corruptor.
Or of course the game is lost. Like when you're playing it in the moment like this, it might just be completely out of your headspace where it's like, wait, I actually can force a draw.
Yeah, you can't think like, well, maybe he forgot to make a Corruptor, lol.
The buildings, I think they're floating to the corner.
There's 22 gas in that, remaining in that one. That's not enough.
Cure might be floating his buildings to the corner.
I don't know how much gas you need total to get this. We have the Observer now poking around here.
For my sanity.
0, 0.
For my sanity,
0,
I just want Cure to send one building to the corner, just so I know that he recognizes.
No, I know. 0, 0.
I'm getting dehydrated casting this, Tasteless.
I know. I decided to not pee before this best of 5, and here I am.
You messed up.
My bladder is screaming right now, and guess what? We're just going to go right into the redo of Game 2 after this.
My God.
I don't even know about hiding these infestors around here. What buildings that can float are down in the bottom right? Is it just some command centers that are being used to
command centers, I think.
Okay, so we're about to hit the 50-minute marker.
So the more that I'm looking at this, I see no way that Cure beats Dark's army. I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I think Cure can't kill the army, but the ace up Cure's sleeve, even though he doesn't know he has it, is that there's nothing that can hit a building that would float to the bottom right.
He might know, and just he hasn't bothered to send a building down there yet.
Sure. Note how he's using these changelings to kind of further his movement over here. Terran not in a position now with... Oh, hold on.
There's no resources at all for Cure. Some minerals left, but I don't think it matters at this point just because Cure's army is never going to beat Dark's army straight up.
And we are basically 100% that, like, if Terran is to simply, now, in my mind, I feel like eventually you got to just float those buildings to the bottom right and attack, but here we are.
Yeah, if Cure recognizes it, this is the best case scenario for Dark, a draw. And I think that's what should be the natural resolution of this game, because Dark's army is superior. When these armies, if these armies inevitably do clash, Dark will win.
By the way, good position for Cure to try to end this game on across this river, where it's like just hard to actually get out to the other side of. There's enough siege tanks that it doesn't seem like the Broodlings can touch anything.
I loved our observer like briefly going to the production tab to show there's one creep server being made.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I understand.
Yeah, the more that I'm looking at this, I'm wondering whether a referee is just going to go on stage and be like, okay, guys, we're going to have a regame of Game 2. But there is the...
Oh, hold on. He's starting to chuck stuff in here.
Oh, the Broodlords. I guess there is a world where Dark loses all of his Broodlords and loses the game. 7 Broodlords. I think that might have been 8 at some point. Now down to 6. 5? Is Cure doing this?
Well,
Only
see.
1 ghost left.
Keep
6
in mind, you know,
Thors.
after the Broodlords get low enough in numbers, you really can't do anything with the Broodlings. I think there's 4 left?
5, I think. 5 Broodlords in total.
Okay.
No ghosts. Snipe is completely off the table. It is only Thors, and they cannot be repaired, so...
So it's either Cure wins or it's a draw.
Look at the units that Cure has. Okay, it does have some bio. I was going to say, if it's all mech, Dark could just try to neural every single unit pretty much.
Yeah, it's true.
But again, as long as Cure recognizes that nothing can kill a floating building in a corner, this is a draw.
How long has it been since we've even had a draw here in GSL?
I don't know if I've ever casted a draw. I think maybe no. These Fungals just chipping away. Dark knows that he can tank 1 siege tank shot or 1 liberator shot with these infestors, and he's using that knowledge to just do continuous damage.
A minor army supply increase here. Or not increase, advantage, I should say, here for Cure.
But I think it's mostly in Hellbats.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's
12 Hellbats is 24 of this army
do?
supply.
I think a lot of this goes back to when he sent all those Banes in to fight that.
That's so much res. Can you imagine if that was a Spire and a Corruptor?
Here we go.
And Neural comes in. A little bit anticlimactic.
Now again, repair's gone for Terran. So like, you know, you can heal forever. Well, not forever, but you know, the regen on the Medevac, in theory, you could just keep healing damaged units, but Thors are not going to heal. We're going to start to run out of infestors, by the way. There's still a couple here, but how many infestors have you seen die over the last 15 minutes? A lot.
That's a good point, but I don't think that Dark is going to let that happen. I feel like he's going to continuously try and get something done, get some damage in with these infestors, and then once he gets a small number, maybe 7, maybe 8, maybe 9, he'll just be okay. I'm content with this.
Just like fungal this?
Fungal might be better. I mean, it's certainly better than what that was.
Well, I guess the problem is I was thinking fungal the SCVs, but it's like I guess the Medevac could heal that.
The only way that I see Dark losing this game is if he continues to bleed out units and he somehow loses these Broodlords, because besides the Broodlords, it's really just Queens and Infestors, which don't fight well in a straight-up engagement.
I'm going to go back to what we were talking about earlier. The fact that there's not one building floating in the bottom right, I do feel like tells us that Cure does not have the right read on this.
Like, he might not realize the situation. He might think that it still comes down to this. And I'm a little bit confused by the way that Dark is playing it too, by sacrificing these Infestors, because I feel like Dark should be on the same page. But maybe Dark is playing with the best case scenario, imagining that maybe Cure doesn't realize there's a draw.
Well,
because both players should know.
It's his game to you know, to do what he thinks is going to be best, right? So like, I get it.
Yeah, but
now Terran is kind of abandoning the river outpost. I don't know what's dying under there.
I think it was a missile turret under the
okay. I
the
thought it might have
barracks.
been like an SCV or something. He's going to go retreat back to the planetary, which does make the math probably worse for the Zerg. 55 minutes into this game, by the way. You know, it's
How many times have you seen a Hellbat get assimilated?
Yeah,
Taste
I've seen
this.
it all now. Is this an overextension? Fungal's going down!
It's a lot of bio getting fungled. Hellbats as well. Hellbats can
Here we go,
heal.
here we go, here we go. The Broodlings are starting to gnaw through this. A couple more chain Fungals. And I think, you know, now the question is Curious, you're
No!
You are kidding me.
Nothing can kill
Crazy
a lifted
end,
building.
but at the same time, the worst episode of Game of Thrones I've ever seen. All he had to do was land or float a building over the vacant area, but you know what, Dark, it's kind of crazy.
I'm not wrong about this, right? There's nothing that could hit, like the Queen doesn't have enough range to
like
kill a CC of the
my
corner,
phone's
right?
charging, but do you see if somebody's tweeting at us like we don't get? I think he could have just floated a building there.
I think so too. I feel like the worst case scenario for Cure was a draw.
I've devoted my whole life to this game, and like but I'm almost second guessing myself because Cure didn't do it. But no, there's no way. But the thing is, Dark just kind of waited it out. And again, keep in mind, he could have hidden a Corruptor somewhere. Even though he didn't.
It's possible.
Even though he didn't. I'm just saying, in Cure's mind.
But if you're Cure, if you, make him at least have the Corruptor, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
make him show it to you, is what I'm thinking. And
listen, I don't want to be the guy that's going to tell Cure after that stun that he could have just floated a building over there. I'm not going to, I don't even want to be on the same block.
Unimaginable. If there's something that we're missing, please, on Twitter, let us know, because I'm racking my brain thinking about it, and I don't think that a Queen can kill a floating building in the corner, like the bottom right corner, for example. I don't think that's possible. I think that Cure has a draw no matter what.
That map, the bottom right cavity and the top left cavity are massive.
Yeah.
They're massive. And honestly, I mean, I'm shocked he didn't have like one building. At least in my brain, if I was in that situation, I would have just auto sent one building down there. With the number of floating buildings I have,
I don't know. I want to hear from people on Twitter in terms of like whether this is possible.
Let us know on Twitter.
Absolutely baffling. That was an insane game.
Well, it's insane on so many levels, but it's also so like disappointing because of how it ended. Because
it's, yeah.
I mean, props to Dark. I mean, he by the way, I think we need to go back for a second and talk about the inverse ZVT that we saw there.
That was insane. That was the most cost-effective ZVT I've ever seen.
I've never seen anything quite like it. And it's like you kind of get to the end and you go into Broodlords, into then like a lot of Broodlords.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, he's done it. He doesn't have that much. And now we're going to make him, because most of the time when you beat Broodlords, you go around him. But what if there's nothing to go around because they're guarding one outpost?
Mm-hmm. They don't care about the main base, the natural. It doesn't matter.
And you have to kill that outpost to win the game. Now that is an interesting situation. But at the same time, you know, it's a game as old as the first day of StarCraft 1. Is what? Yeah, well, you win and you lose. What are the conditions for that? Well, it's to destroy all their buildings. We have had people that have watched for years that don't really play. They don't know. Those are actually the win conditions, okay? It is actually comes down to if you lose all your buildings. Now, you don't ever have games have that, or maybe you have 1 in 1,000 or 10,000 where that's the case. Probably not 10,000, but, you know, you have those moments, but usually it's just that. So one of the little fundamental tricks in the game as well, if he doesn't have any units that can fly and hit a flying building, what if you hide a barracks over in the corner? Anyways.
All right, guys, we're going to set 3, Tropical Sacrifice.
But we're going to keep talking about set 2 because there's still more to say.
Zerg, Dark.
They zoom in on Dark's face. He has a full beard after that game. It's so long.
He's an old man.
He's an old man. He's got beads hanging off of it and stuff. He's long dreads on the back of his head.
The most insane ZVT I've ever seen, and perhaps more so because I feel like Cure could not have possibly lost if you recognize the situation.
Well, what's odd about it is that I don't know. You know, they're part of StarCraft is like ticking these boxes in your head.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very true in these kind of base trade endgame one-of-a-kind moments is like, okay, well, let's, you know. And normally you see it, like, I guess more in, like, TVT, where these games are like they both lose their bases and they re-brawl in each other. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you know. No, I don't know. What a game. What a game, man.
It's an emotional journey.
It's crazy.
I'm just still thinking about
Did you get any tweets
the way that
on
it ended. No, I haven't heard. Guys, please let me know.
Let us know. Maybe
I
we're
think-
wrong, but
I think Nick's charging his phone right now,
Yeah.
so.
I'm like, I'm not addicted to my phone like State is. No, I mean, I want to know, man. Like, what is
I really, I want. So I'm almost certain that there's no way that
No, there's
Cure.
no way.
Yeah,
It's-
right? Like
there's none. I
he
mean,
can't make a spy. He can't make a lair
also
and a
just
spire and a
reading from the Korean
corruptor.
casters. It's like, yeah, I mean, they were at the same reaction, like, no. But
I want someone to tell me that I'm right, because I'm in disbelief with the way that game ended.
it was a wild ending to that game, man.
Absolutely
and it was honestly like a
insane.
crazy game all the way through. Like, we were getting kind of, and I'm glad we kind of saw it early on, where we're like, what is this? You know, Terran's gonna get more of the map. This is insane.
Yeah, it did, and I love how you kept saying reverse TVZ, because that
Yeah.
truly is what it felt like, where
Or inverse, yeah.
Or inverse, yeah, excuse me, because there was a point where it seemed like Dark realized, okay, like I messed this up. I'm not on 95 plus drones. I don't have the economy to continuously throw units at the Terran and keep him off 5th base. The only way that I win is in this extreme edge case late game scenario. And it feels like he might have just made that judgment and we weren't keyed in on it yet, and that's why he played the way that he did from the mid game on.
You gotta wonder if he scanned and saw there was no Spire. Or if that registered. Also, you know, it is an exhausting game. Sometimes people just have these blind spots. We've all lost games where someone goes, why didn't you just do this? And you go, what?
I think it was just a mental gap. I mean, think about it. He's in the quarterfinals here. GSL Super Tournament, round of 8. It's game 2. He's in a 50-minute slog against Dark, and his entire mindset that game has probably been, how do I kill this army? How do I kill this army?
Yeah.
How do I kill this army? And eventually, he realizes, I can't. Like, and what his brain jumps to is, I've lost, not, is there any extremely weird 1 in a million edge case scenario where I can get a draw here? Because generally, if you lose your army in a late game like that, you don't have an opportunity to fly a building in the corner. Of course, they're going to build 1 corruptor at least and kill it. Maybe it'll take a million years, but you don't grind the game out until they eliminate all your buildings. You tap out. So, just an insane game. I'm still wrapping my head about it. I'm still making terms with the way that it ended, but as it is 2-0 in Dark's favor.
About it all night. Like,
We're going to go get dinner after this and be like, can you believe game 2?
So insane. All right, this game, Ling Speed and Roach Warren. I don't know that there's going to be aggression from Zerg, but every once in a while, Dark will kind of come in with a lot of damage. Now, Banshee's kind of a good catch-all for that.
And Dark right now on 41 drones. And how much whiplash would we get if Dark just all-in after?
Well, he could. I mean, Ling Speed's done.
There's 7 Lings in production.
Yeah, he's getting these Roaches now, and then if he makes Lings after this, a lot of times that's kind of the timing to start to flood the Terran. Now, the Banshee's going to go around, try to come in here and slip into the sides and do some damage. But, okay, 12 Lings. He made 2 more drones and then 12 more Lings, so this is going to be a timing attack. But, you know, it's not one that's intended to end the game. It's one that's intended to beat up the Terran.
No, he returns to droning after those 12 Lings.
So the idea is the Roaches are going to come down, but as they start to deal damage, the Lings are going to come in for, you know, that extra oomph.
Roach is going to be going all the way down to the south side of the map, going to just waypoint all the way into the 3rd base, I suppose, of the Terran. It's Dark now going up into lair tech, adding in more Zerglings, and this is kind of an interesting maneuver. Usually when we see Roaches like this, it's kind of trying to bust down the natural ramp, kill some supply depots, kill some SCVs repairing, but in this case he's going for the 3rd, I think. And Cure, in the meantime, 2 Banshees going to be looking to try to find some damage in the main base of Dark. Depot's now coming down here at the 3rd, and these Roaches are hitting very late, but it's kind of an awkward timing. Cure still doesn't have that much here to deal with this.
But the Hellions in the back here are going to be pretty good. Oh, actually, I love this. He's going to set the Lings right down here. The Hellions need to fight the Zerglings. He's going to spread this out here. And he's kind of just avoiding the Hellions. This is actually really smart.
This is really well executed here from Dark.
And he actually can get over the depot, I think. So there's going to be a lot of dead SCVs.
13 SCVs already going down as Kira just seems like he's getting hamstringed right now. Dark coming in with this Roachling timing attack and getting massive damage done. This is way worth the investment. 16 drones in total. He even gets a supply depot there. The third base, he's killing off.
And again, he droned behind this. There's a Spire coming as well.
What does Cure have that kills air? The Marine count also got reset, so the Banshees and the Hellions are going to have to wait until that Marine count grows to a point.
I got to say, this is already like a way better game for Dark.
Oh, it's looking fantastic. One more Roach in production, double Evolution Chamber coming in. Cure will have an upgrade advantage in terms of timing.
The Banshee for a second. I'm like, oh, you don't want to be doing that. No.
See if Cure is able to get any counter damage with these Hellions, but Dark is well positioned at the natural ramp. More Roaches in production. 69 drones to 52 workers. And Dark, it feels like he has a lot of momentum right now. Even picking off some of these Hellions. The Hellions, of course, not very great in straight-up engagements, but Cure would love to just somehow find some drone kills to equalize a little bit here.
With that being said, I think there is a path to recovery here for Cure.
Yeah, there is.
But, you know, it's funny. Dark not as often the Ling Muta guy. Like, you know, we just cast a DRG.
Oh, it's a good point.
Dark oftentimes going Roach Ravager, trying to box the Terran back and absorb the blows, but he's going for a very, very different approach.
I love the micro of the Zerglings trying to get this around, but there's like 7 of them.
It's like just not quite enough. Man, Roaches can be fast.
Roaches with speed on creep are pretty quick.
Yeah.
So our Banshees gonna try and get away from here. I don't know if there's an Overseer on the map. I think it's finally coming in. We'll be able to clean up one of these Banshees, the other one escaping away. And the army back at home for Cure is not looking too bad. He has been able to replenish that Marine count, adding into 4th Command Center now that he is stabilized. Healthy number of siege tanks. As Cure, it looks like from his perspective, he's kind of playing the same game in terms of composition. Dark, though, with a bit of an edge and playing a more active style here with the Mutas.
All right, gonna come in here and just take this gas out. You take what you can get in a moment like this. You know, these glaives will transfer over to some SCVs, but, you know, very conservative move here from Dark. Not gonna do what a lot of Zergs do, where they'll go in and start to hit the SCVs and then glide into the main and then get, you know, kind of trapped in there and ultimately killed off. But, you know, this makes for a different game for Cure here. And then he follows it up with Roach Ravager. So I do want to point out the supply disparity is pretty bad. And, you know, Terran doesn't have counterattack options that are the same level of threat if there are mutas out. And then he's going to come in here with what could be an extremely strong timing that could end up just straight up killing Terran.
Yeah, Dark coming into the natural ramp over here. Biles coming down on the siege tanks, taking on the first one. Follow-up Biles will take down take number 2 and take number 3 as it feels like Cure might be broken. Only a little bit of Marines left as the Ravagers continuing to attack in.
Yeah, there's barely enough Ravagers. Oh, did he get the Banshee?
I'm not sure if he got the Banshee tasteless, but he is remaxing on 30 Roaches. And I'm looking at this army here for Cure. I don't know if he's going to be able to withstand the remax.
The factory on the low ground, that's kind of a problem. You know, you start to lose tanks, and they get that position. Oh, you can't make tanks anymore.
Only one siege tank in production. Only partway done. Cure opted for the Thor here, but I think he wishes he had a siege tank here against this army as there's so much Roach Ravager on the low ground. That command center and factory both get taken out. Command center not canceled. In fact, killed. And now Cure's gonna have to make this engagement. He's pulling the SCVs. His tournament life is on the line, Tasteless.
This is insane. 2-2 is about to finish, but probably too late as well. As there's just nothing on the ground here that can really fight the army that Dark has. Dark continuing to mass up. He's now going to push into both the 2nd and the 3rd.
That's just overwhelming damage. Cure now all the way down at 90 supply. The 3rd base is broken. He scans and sees the 4th base up for Dark as well. I think Cure now is probably just making terms with this loss. As
Yes.
After a very difficult and hard-fought hour-long game number 2.
You know what's going to happen is they're going to do the interview with Dark, and it's like Yuri's going to ask, like, did you think the Cure didn't know that if he just flew a building over there, and they're going to cut the Cure, and he's going to be taking his headset off, like, no!
A single tear sheds down his cheek.
No! Well, the end is near, my friends. Cure is going to be out, and Dark is going to be our final player to go on to the round of 4 in the Super Tournament.
That's a million Ravagers. 18 Ravagers. It just feels like so much. I don't know if there's a world that Cure's able to save
a million
lives.
or 18 Ravagers.
All these vials raining down on the bio as Dark's trying to get a pulse around. And Cure, to his credit, he's doing a great job of fighting back right now, but that army supply is dwindling all the way down to 32. The Ravagers continue to press forward, and that's going to be it. GG is called, and Dark is going to be our final player heading to the semifinals of the GSL Super Tournament.
Wow. That was a 3-0, wasn't it?
That was a very long 3-0.
But as I call it, a 4-3. Dark wins that game, and Cure, don't tell him. Don't tell him.
What an incredibly difficult series there for Cure.
Crazy, man. I really enjoyed Game 2. Game 2, there's a lot you can explore with that.
I still don't think there's an answer for a floating building in the corner.
No. I mean, the answer is there isn't. You know what I mean? It's odd to see a pro gamer make a mistake like that, but I mean, that's crazy, man. Let's take an interview with Dark now, guys.
Wow, what a tight series that was, but in the end, it is Dark defeating Cure 3-0 to move on to round of 4. Congratulations. Thank you.
와, 정말 다들 두 선수의 활약에 깜짝
Wow,
놀랐습니다.
the match was just amazing to watch, Dark. So how do you feel?
정말 너무 힘들었고
I mean, it was such a hard-fought win.
빨리 집에 가서 쉬고 싶어요.
I don't know what to say right now. I just want to go home and rest.
워터풀 경기 처절했던
The waterfall
경기
match,
이야기
waterfall game
부탁드리겠습니다.
lasted so long.
상대의
Let's
지지를
talk about that one
받고
first.
상대적으로 큰 리액션도 나왔던 것 같은데요. 딱 이겼을 때 그 기분이
So after
좀
you
어떤
won,
기분이었을까요?
Like, what was the feeling that you got after that win?
나좀 잘한다는 생각을 좀 하면서
I mean, mid-game, you know, I was pretty
차리고 보니까
focused on the game.
구석으로 가면 진짜 끝낼 방법이 없는 거예요.
And then, you know, I realized that when the Terran just moved his building to the corner, I have absolutely no way of dealing with it.
운으로 그냥 정신없이 한번 흔들어 보다.
So, you know, I tried to kind of like shake him left and right,
되게 기분이 좋았던 것 같아요.
and hopefully try to get lucky, and then it worked out well for me.
교전을 했을 때 지지를 쳤던 것 같은데 그럼 상대를 속이기 위한 그런 노력들도 좀 있었어요.
So there were some mind games going on, right, Dark?
그런 상황 가면 한 번 놓치면 끝이라서.
And once you get into that situation, if you lose that window of opportunity, it's over for you.
차리게 만들었거든요.
And then that's why I'm using the investors to kind of like shake his mentality, and I think that was very instrumental to my win today.
불리했던 경기를 이렇게 끝끝내
I mean, early mid game, it was really looking bad for you, Dark, but you managed to turn the tide in the late game.
왜 이재선 선수가 박용 선수를 왜 꺼렸는지
I think I now know. I think I know why Bunny was scared to go up against you now.
아니 근데 송주
Do you see his
떨어지고
interview?
나서 다들 웃고 있더라고요.
I mean, after Maru got eliminated, everybody else was laughing.
다들 웃고 있었는데.
Everybody's laughing as if they're gonna win the whole tournament.
준비할지 궁금하네요.
So I'm curious as to what kind of strategies he's gonna show. on Thursday.
잡을 만큼 요즘 저그전을 굉장히 잘하는 테란 선수인데
I mean, Bunny is an extremely skilled TVZ player.
선수가 승리를 했었더라고요. 이재선 선수에 대해서 좀 저그전에 대해서.
So what are your thoughts on Bunny's DVT?
원래는 약간
TVZ.
중진병영 원투 이런 식으로 생각하고 있었는데.
I mean, he used to just only go for like proxy Rex. He used to be like a one-trick proxy Rex player, but now he's very well-rounded. He's an all-around player. He's very good. So you think he's improved? I mean, he's improved a little.
굉장히 좀 잘해가지고.
Not remarkably, but a little.
사실 많은 선수들이 군 입대 전에 기량이 하락하는 경우를 많이 봤는데.
I mean, a lot of the players they tend to play worse as they approach their military service state. But for you, Dark, you seem to be getting stronger. So what else do you want to say?
이제 좀 우승까지 두 걸음 남았는데.
I mean, there are only 2 steps left till the victory. So I'm gonna try to prepare hard and try to show good results in round of 4. And that was interview with Dark. Congratulations. Thank you.
네, 이렇게
Thank you,
더욱더
Andy. Excellent work as
짜릿한
always.
승리를 거둔 김용우 선수까지 만나봤는데요.
Well, I'll tell you something, man.
이로써
This
모든
tonight could have been a lot
패널
longer.
We had 3
모두
best of 5
끝내고
TVZs, and we only
Yeah.
had one game that truly went to that kind of endgame scenario. Imagine if we had like
It's
a lot of those.
It's crazy, man. Well, we got to have our long day after all. ByuN does defeat Maru. Crazy upset. Crazy short series, by the way. Literally
30
under,
minutes.
Yeah, literally under a half hour if you just count the games themselves, because we have to open the show and, you know, get all these shots of the studio and stuff. Solar defeats GuMiho. So we got ByuN versus Solar on Thursday to start things off. Then Bunny versus Dark, which is a match to die for.
Yeah, these are going to be some fantastic TVZs on finals day. We might even
Yeah.
get a TVZ finals for the
I
grand
think-
finals as well.
I think a TVZ finals is super likely. I think it's probably going to be Solar versus Dark. I think Dark probably the favorite here. ByuN kind of the wild card coming into this. I think a lot of people didn't see that coming, but I'll tell you what, man, you beat Maru. I don't know who you can lose to.
It's a great point. And guys, of course, if you want to come down to the studio on Thursday, this is
Yes.
starting at 5 p.m. It
Free
is first
admissions.
come.
Get in here early, though. It's been a little bit light in the studio here today, but usually when we have the finals of anything, this is the last GSL studio match of the year before we start 2023. So come down, 5 p.m. KST. It's not a normal GSL code as start time. Studio, go out at exit 1 at Samsung Station all the way down to the Many Talks building, come up to floor 2. This building does not look like there's a studio in it.
Yeah, it does not.
You're gonna walk into the lobby and be like, oh, I'm gonna get kicked out of here. But you won't. You won't. You're gonna come to floor 2. You're gonna make yourself comfy. You're gonna take off your jacket because it's cold outside.
Yeah.
Put your mittens away. You don't want to lose them. And you're gonna come join us for this finals. And if you want to hear our commentary, you need some ID to give to them at the entrance, and in exchange, they give you a headset. And you can hear us with that.
Yeah, of course, it is first come, first serve.
Yeah.
No price for admission. So if you want to come here, just come early. Not super early because probably they won't let you in the studio that early, but what, like an hour maybe, hour early if you really want to save a spot.
If you really want to get a good spot, I don't think it's going to fill up all the way. Things are usually a little bit slower at this time of the year. But if you're like somebody who flew in here, I would say come early, just to make sure you can get like a front row seat.
Yeah.
I got Elmer Fudd voice, a front row seat.
I mean, after like a 1 hour TVZ,
yeah.
I start to lose my mind as well.
Yeah,
Hard
it's,
to form words.
A lot to talk through. But crazy day. And I think, honestly, that game versus Cure, there's so much to unpack there.
I still want to talk about it. It was just so much fun.
I know. I could actually let them extend the show. I wish I could, and we could kind of go over so much. But the fact that it ends in what appears to be what could have been a draw, but, you know, it's up to the player to figure that out.
Yeah.
It's up to the player to kind of to make that conclusion, and he didn't seem to have a read. He may have thought there was a hidden corrupt there somewhere. He may have thought that there was, in fact, a spire he didn't see, and
or
that
enough
there was
resources.
and that there was enough resources. Exactly. Yeah, that's true too. He could have thought there was enough resources for a spire, and then for a corruptor to come out, but there wasn't.
Yeah.
And Dark's not gonna tell him that.
No.
So I mean, that's up to Dark. And again, an inverse ZVT.
Yep.
One where the Zerg is actually letting the Terran take the map, and just, you know, relying on basically not harassing, with Bane specifically. There were a couple moments with Banes, but mostly it was actually Ling's harassing there. Therefore, collecting a lot of gas, going for the Broodlords, and then, you know, Terran overextended maybe 3 times or something like that with the Thors, the Ghosts. Terran had 0 gas at the end of that game.
0 gas, 0 minerals.
0 gas, 0 minerals.
And Dark said in his interview that he recognized during the game that the only way he could really win from that position was to grind it out. And that was the choice that he made. And that's not something that many other Zergs can do. I almost said any Zergs, but that also might be true. I feel like Dark's the only Zerg I've seen play that cost efficiently in the ultra late game ZVT.
And you know, we may have many more ZVTs to come here, all the way to the finals. So will Dark continue to implore that strategy? I don't know.
It's possible. He's up against Bunny, right? I don't know if Bunny is going to have that late game style. I feel like Bunny more of a killer.
Bunny plays a little bit faster. Cure is a little bit more of the older style.
Right.
That we already saw there.
He's like Maru almost, the way that he approaches TVZ.
It could also be a very map-specific thing. Like, that map is a little bit more cagey than the other maps.
What a day. I feel like this is the best day of GSL Super Tournament yet, because
by far. What, you didn't like all the 3-0s on
all
day
the 3-0s
2?
and 3-1s. We had a huge upset with Maru, losing to ByuN in
I
under
welcome
30
that.
minutes.
I really welcome that.
Yeah.
You know, I thought this was probably going to be a Maru Dark finals, and you know that's always a welcome thing. But ByuN taking Maru out, that's a pleasant, change of events.
In TVT of all matchups, I was looking up the stats, and Maru has like a 94% win rate or something.
You mentioned this earlier. I mean, that is crazy.
In the last 2 years, he's 94% in series in TVT on offline tournaments. I don't know about online, but offline. And 4 of those wins were against ByuN.
Yeah, and 2 of those games, ByuN won in like mid game. He just like basically outpositioned Maru and won off tactics.
Yeah, just
And
really
then-
smart 2 or 3 base timings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was clean.
All right. Well, we can't close the shot.
I keep expecting us to be called to come out here,
Well,
but
the Korean casters have a lot more to say still. But I got to say, recommend that game to your friends. There should be articles written about that game. That game should be passed around the internet.
if you're
It's one of the most insane games.
if you're a
We
student in
don't-
college, you can write your doctorate thesis.
That's right. I wish, man. And to be honest, like you can go back into that game and look at it over and over again. It did seem like Kier did not know what kind of, predicament he was getting himself into. And I think a lot of players have had that moment where they're like, "What is going on here? He's dead." And then after a while,
Maybe.
you're like,
oh, I can't kill him.
Oh, he made more brood lords.
He has 150 army supply and 25
There's
brood
no more
lords.
minerals on the map.
Yeah, there were some moments where it felt like he was overextending just a bit as he was clearing up Dark space. Because, he kills the main base, he kills the natural, the third base, the fourth base. Dark doesn't care. He doesn't need production. He has 2 hatcheries on the left side of the map. And he's just going to mine those resources, make queens and static defense and infestors, and that's what he did. And yeah, Kier did overextend a little bit as he was cleaning up those bases and lost a couple of units, but you can't really fault him for that. It's very difficult to play a game and try to plan for such an edge case late game.
Guys, thank you for joining us. 5 p.m. Thursday for the finals of the GSL Super Tournament here at the Freak Up Studio at Samsung Station. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.